Hey guys, Angormus here with another Nasus guide and some content updates. As you may have known, I no longer stream on twitch.tv. I now stream on osiagame.tv/Angormus, where you can find me. If you are curious about my stream schedule, it'll always be updated down below in my FAQ with my general start times. I try to stick to these as much as possible. With school and other things going on, I might not be able to. And I'll also stream as much as I can on the weekends, but those are more flexible for me, and I will always tweet out and post in my Discord when I go live for an extended period of time. Links to those can be found down below in the description. And another thing to look out for is I'm interested in starting a unranked to diamond video playlist with mostly Nasus on an account, and I'll upload Nasus games and how to come back from behind and how to carry your team in throughout every elo up to diamond. That's something to look out for. In the meantime, let's go straight into my Nasus guide. So, the new runes, there's a lot of things people have been doing and suggesting for Nasus. A couple of them are what I think is best for the most part. Let's go over the Qmax matchups first. So, whenever you want to max Q on Nasus, you want to take Grasp the Undying for sure, every time. Because Grasp the Undying is just really good for getting up in someone's face, or maxing Q. And generally in matchups where you're maxing Q, you're against someone who's melee range. You might be up against like a Shen or a Maokai or an Auron, and you can go Grasp the Undying, you take Unflinching. In easy matchups with a lot of CC, you take Conditioning, Overgrowth, and then Triumph and Tenacity. You get a bunch of Tenacity in this page, you get a lot of health stacking, you get a lot of armor, and you get good teamfight presence out of Triumph. And the other Q matchup max build against like an AP champion, say like Rumble or Swain or Vladimir, champions that do a lot of AP damage early, but you can still Q max versus them. You can take Grasp the Undying, Unflinching, Conditioning, Overgrowth, or Second Wind if you prefer the early regen more so versus say Vladimir or Rumble. And then you take Nullifying Orb, which is really good for just not getting all-in by an AP champion, and then you take the movement speed here, because it gives you the most gold out of any keystone that isn't a major keystone. For your Qmax builds, you're going to choose this. You're going to start every game with Doran Shield and a health pot, basically, and then, depending on your first buy, if you still, instead of buying 3 potions, or 2 potions even, you should buy a refillable. And then here's a cookie cutter build. You go Iceborne Gauntlet, Spear Visage, one of your tier 2 boots, do your Righteous Glory with a Glacial Shroud to finish out your 40% CDR. Do your generic tank item. One of those 3 tank items can be a Sterix, Omen, or Adaptive Helmet, depending on what point the game is at, really. Just adapt to the other team. And then your final item will be Thornmail in most cases. If they have any amount of lifesteal on their team, this is really good for reducing it and making sure their ADC or Yasuo or Kali, etc. can't lifesteal up off of you after they auto-attack you. And then, of course, the best potion for Nasus to buy is Elixir of Iron, because you get health, you get tenacity, and you get Path of Iron, which means your allies have boosted movement speed while they follow you, which is really nice to have. The reason you don't go Trinity for the Qmax build is that you really don't need the damage, first of all, but also Iceborne Gauntlet will spike a lot faster than Trinity will, and honestly, it's just way better item for what you get out of it. Trinity, you get some health, you get some mana, you get attack damage, attack speed. That's not really doing anything for you. The only good thing about Trinity is the Sheen proc, the Phage proc, and then the cooldown and movement speed, which you can get from a Black Cleaver edition build. Limited edition. You go Iceborne Gauntlet, Black Cleaver, Spirit Visage, and your tier 2 boots, your generic tank item, and your last item's a Thornmail. Of course, remember for whenever I mentioned Thornmail as being a last item, you build Bramble Vest whenever they have lifesteal. If you're against Fiora in lane, you buy Bramble Vest earlier on, for example. And then, of course, just replace giant belts with one of these 4 items. Don't actually just build a giant's belt. Uh, the Black Cleaver Edition build is really good against tankier teams. When you have to land against a Gnar and a tank jungler, like Zac or Sejuani, or if they have just an overall tankier team composition, or you need to split push versus someone who's tanky, and to be able to have the side lane pressure, you need to be able to have a threat on them. And this combined with your 5th level into E on Nasus, you get a 51% armor reduction onto any single target that's in your E and has 6 stacks of Black Cleaver. Those are the Humax builds. You can do those versus people who don't really threaten you early on. And that's generally when you should be playing Nasus. You shouldn't be picking Nasus into harder matchups. But say you're blind picking Nasus and you get counterpicked by, say, they pick a Teemo, they pick a Darius, they pick a Riven, champions who pressure you a lot early on. You can do 2 things. You can either Emax or put 3 levels into your E and then max Q by level 10. And I generally suggest the 3 levels into E Nasus, but if you want to Emax, you can. So for 3 levels into E, you do Airy, because Airy is an insane amount of early game damage. Against a Teemo or Riven, you can win trades pre-level 6 easily. I've beaten out Riven's level 3, level 4 a bunch of times with not even Airy in the past, with just E and Corrupting Potion. This will also give you ability power at level 1. You'll get about 40 when you start with Darksteel and Refillable. You go Mana Flow Band for the mana sustain. You go the movement speed because it's the best keystone gold-wise it's the best non-major keystone rune in the entire game right now, gold value-wise. And then you go Scorch, because Scorch will deal almost as much damage as Airy early game, and then it's just really helps with pushing out the Riven or the team out of lane. And then against a heavier CC composition, you can go Precision Secondary with the Tenacity, and then either Coup de Grace if you're going for a winning lane super hard, or a Triumph for a more of a late game team fight oriented build. And then against a more poke oriented top laner, say Pantheon or Teemo again, you can choose to do this. You do the same thing as in Sorcery, but you go Secondary Resolve, and you go Conditioning for more mid-game tankiness, and then you go Second Wind for more lane staying and sustaining your health pool throughout the lane. And if you don't feel like you need Second Wind, you can also go Unflinching for the Tenacity while your summoners are down or after you use the summoner. If you're a fan of Ghost Nasus, you should definitely be taking Unflinching, or just going for more of a late game tanky build with Overgrowth and Conditioning, stacking up on your health and stacking up on your resistances. So a build path I would suggest for that, for the 3 levels into E Nasus, is this. So you should be starting with Darksteel and Refillable Potion. The reason you start with Darksteel is so you actually get the adaptive ability power from Sorcery instead of normally what it would be is AD. So you start level 1 with about 41 AP, and that gives you an additional 25 damage flat on your E and an additional 5 per second on it. That's almost doubling. It's a 50% increase in damage on the dot part of Spirit Fire. And then your first back, if you're going to do Emax, you get a Doran's Ring and Corrupting Potion, ideally. You upgrade your refillable, and if you're not doing it Emax, you finish your Corrupting Potion still, because its synergy with Darksteel is insane, and with the 3 levels into E, and then you just build like normal. You get your Iceborne Gauntlet, Spear Visage, your boots, your Righteous Glory, your generic tank item, your Thornmail, and Bramble Vest whenever they build Lifesteal on their team. And this is just a playstyle where you prioritize in a bad matchup. You prioritize experience, and then gold, and then stacks. To be relevant as a champion in League, the most important things is experience and gold. And Unfortunately, some games this may mean you only get to 200 stacks, 300 stacks in like a 40-minute game, and that's okay. You don't need to do a lot of damage as Nasus. You can play more of a peeler role for your team and enable your ADC to do more damage with your E and by being a big meat wall for him, which you can do if you're ultimate now. And then there is one more build some people like to talk about. I don't like it, but if you are interested in being the fastest Nasus ever, Usain Bolt is your idol. This is the way to go. You take Phase Run, you take Nullifying Orb or Mana Flow, you take the movement speed, because again, it's really good. You take Water Walking for river fights. You take slightly magical boots so you can run faster at 10 minutes, or maybe even 9 if you get 2 kills. And approach velocity for whenever you wither someone, they're never getting away from you. You're getting an additional 10% movement speed. And a build like that, for fastest Nasus, I would 100% recommend this. Here, let me pull it up for you. You start off normally, you get a Doran Shield and a health potion, and then you build Trinity. You get your Spirit Visage when you need magic resist, but then you get Righteous Glory, tier 2 boots whenever you get your slightly magical boots. You get a Sterix Gauge for the additional 100%. It's like having it when you have Sheen, the Sheen proc of Trinity and Sterix Gauge, you basically get 300% of your attack damage, base attack damage, added to every Q. And then also ZZ Rot for more movement speed. And then if the game goes really late and you don't need the block 10% of damage from basic attacks on Tabi, you can go sell that, get a Dead Man's Plate, and go super fast. No one will be able to run away from you, and you'll be able to run away from everyone else. If you have any questions, if you want to get in contact with me, I have links down below to my Twitter, my Discord, and I am very active in those. I'm also very active on the r/r Nasus mains, a subreddit on, and I post other things a lot. See you around, guys. Thanks for watching.